motion to adopt the procedure?
Excuse me, Madam Mayor.
Yes.
You're not live on the second one, are you? Okay. We'll restart.
Oh, we're not.
Sorry, Lloyd just did it, right?
Yeah, it was struggling.
Just 1 second.
You should be good.
Okay.
Okay, the first.
No, now we
have to start. I'd like to call this meeting to order. This is a public hearing as required under section 2.7 of the bylaw 465, dangerous dog bylaw, to afford any person with an interest in the outcome of the matter an opportunity to make representation respecting designation of a dog as dangerous by the municipal law enforcement officer. I'm going to ask for a motion to adopt the procedure, please. Go ahead. We need a mover and a seconder. Moved by Councillor Roberts, second by Councillor Kravitz. Sorry, Councillor Wynn, I apologize. I knew you as Councillor Roberts for too long.
I made the mistake myself too.
I do apologize. Thank you. Would you read the motion then?
Yes, the motion reads moved by Councillor Wynn, seconded by Councillor Kravitz, that the Council of the Corporation of the Municipality of Central Alberta adopt the dangerous dog hearing rules of procedure.
Would you call the vote then, please? Pardon me? Well, I don't know. We're all present so far, other than Karen hasn't been able to get in yet, and I know Colleen is unable, Colleen is sick, so I don't know what we do. Do we just do show of hands or do we record it, Paul?
Madam Chair, it's at the discretion of the chair, but because all present are in the council chambers, you have the ability to just do show of hands if that's your decision.
All those in favor? That is unanimous. That is carried. Thank you. Does any member of council have a disclosure of interest concerning this proposal? Seeing none? What method of notice and when was the notice given to the public for this meeting?
Madam Chair, pursuant to bylaw 465, notice was sent by registered mail to the complainant and the dog owners on Monday, August 3rd, 2021. Notice was also posted to the municipal website on August 30th, 2021.
Thank you. Have you received any written submissions on the designation?
Madam Chair, no correspondence has been received.
Thank you. I would like to ask the participants to abide by the following rules before I open this to the public. Please be respectful of all participants. This includes council, other members of the public, and staff. If you cannot be respectful, then you may be removed from the meeting. Once you've provided your comments, you will be placed back in the waiting room so that others may have their opportunity to speak. You will go back in the queue and you can speak again if you so choose, once others have had an opportunity. If you are listening on your computer, tablet, or smartphone, please click the raise hand icon. And if you've called into the meeting using telephone, please dial *9. When given the opportunity to speak, please provide your name and address for the record. Now, first, I'm going to call on the appellant or their representative to provide testimony or introduce evidence, including witnesses, and or to make submissions.
Raise your hand.
Mr. Perrin?
They need to raise their hand so I know who it is.
Yeah, please raise your hand so Mr. Perrin knows who to let in, the appellant or their representative. Okay. We do have a hand. So Christine Dustin, we see that you are in. Would you need to unmute yourself and then go ahead, please, and provide your testimony or introduce any evidence that you wish, including any witnesses.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm the one who filed the complaint with the municipality. Is that the appellant? Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
No? Just
No.
a minute. No. I'm sorry. The appellant is the person who's
Oh,
owns the dog.
okay. I'm not sure who else is present. I can't see.
No, you, and you will be, we can call on you later, but we really need right now the appellant, the owner of the dog.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, that must be Carrie. If you would state your full name, Carrie, and address, and then go ahead.
Hi, my name's Carrie Strathdy. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, so my address is 9720 Tower Road, St. Thomas, Ontario N5P 3S7.
Thank you. Go ahead and present any testimony or introduce any evidence or call on any witnesses, please.
Okay, yep. So I recently submitted a letter earlier for my appeal, and I would just like to take a few moments to read that over if that's all right.
Yes.
I also submitted some information via email from my dog trainer, which I will get to a little bit later. So I'd just like to start by saying that my fiance, John, and I recently received a report for the designation of a dangerous dog on Friday, August 6th, 2021, for a dog named Brinley. We would like to submit an appeal against this designation as we do not believe our dog Brinley is dangerous pursuant to section 2.1.2 of the Municipality of Central Elgin bylaw number 456, and as such at the time of the incident was provoked by a mitigating factor according to section 2.1.3 by the children of our neighbors to the left or south of our property named Christine Dustin and Matt Dell. The incident within this report from Christy and Matt took place on Monday, July 19th, 2021, around 7:45 in the morning. With further explanation, I believe that you will see the situation from an alternate perspective and understand that Brinley is in fact not a dangerous dog. She does not deserve this designation and should not have certain freedoms taken away from her or our family over this unfortunate incident. On the specific morning of Monday, July 19th, 2021, and as per our usual routine, Brinley and our other dog Chopper were led out of our house by my fiance, John, one at a time on a leash to their respective individual cables to take care of their business and do their usual morning routine of checking out the world and looking for squirrels and rabbits. This particular morning, Brinley broke from her sit command while transitioning from her leash to her cable, as she heard an unusual commotion at this time of day in our neighbor's front yard. At this moment, I walked out the back door with our 20-month-old daughter named Rose to also hear this commotion and witness Brinley, who had started to run over to the middle of our side yard. It was one or both of our neighbor's two girls, Abby, who was 12, and Cameron, who was 6, being very loud, screaming and carrying on in their own front yard. Being quite early in our neighborhood, it is generally very quiet time of day for us when putting our dogs outside. Brinley had stopped once in our side yard when John yelled to her. However, she ultimately decided to continue due to the commotion, running blindly to a noise that she could not see yet due to the geographical location. I did provide pictures. I'm not sure if you have them there in front of you. Brinley ultimately crossed our property lines by about 50 feet and bit their new puppy, Millie. My fiance quickly took action, running over to get Brinley, where she immediately released the puppy. At this point, I came over to see what had happened and noticed Brinley starting to excessively drool as if to spit out the taste, while John immediately placed Brinley back in our house. At this point, I saw our neighbor Christy come out the side door with their puppy yelping under the step. Matt came over a few minutes later due to his broken foot or ankle, swearing and asking what had happened. John and I had both offered to help in any way possible, offering to take the puppy to our vet's office or at least drive them to their vet's office, calling to see which office may be open first. Christy opted to make her own phone call and left the dog and the two girls in their vehicle. Obviously, everyone involved was shocked and upset by the situation that just took place. Clearly, it was not our intent to have this sort of incident happen at our dog's expense. At this point, being proactive and responsible lifetime animal owners, we took 100% ownership of the situation. We apologized for what took place, offering to pay the vet expenses and advising right away that we were going to discuss alternate options for our dog Brinley. Taking this incident extremely seriously, we immediately removed our dog cable, which allowed either of our dogs access to our side yard, which overlook our neighbor's laneway and street, which goes to the backside of our property. Also shown in the pictures attached. We also purchased a large dog kennel, 10 feet by 20 feet, to prevent any further provoked situations from happening in the future, and placed it in an area where neither dog could overlook what was going on in our side yard bordering this particular neighbor's property. For our dog's comfort, we erected a rooftop for half of the kennel and laid out rubber mats for them to lay on. We have never let Brinley run freely around our property in the 4 years of living here, and have always hand walked her by leash, ensuring that both of our dogs are tied up when outside on our property. A week leading up to this unfortunate incident, it had become evident that our neighbors had just acquired this new puppy, suspecting that it was just about 8 or 9 weeks old. Within this week, I frequently saw their two unsupervised girls walking and running up and down our street with the puppies by themselves, each time displaying quite excitement through their voice and actions, since they now had this new puppy. One time while heading home, the girls cut across the corner of our yard to get back to their own yard while out on the roadway with this new puppy, being directly in front of Brinley each time these events happened in the week leading up to this unfortunate incident, had caused our dog Brinley to become more excited and overwhelmed every time she would see them when outside. Brinley's newly heightened mental health issue, along with this type of excitement and behavior from their children and the new dog, ultimately caused her excitement and anxiety level to spike, since she desperately wanted to visit the girls and their new dog, yet no introduction was ever made or suggested. These preceding events, along with the commotion made at the time of the incident, ultimately caused and provoked Brinley to react in such a manner that when the opportunity arose, she would try to take advantage of the situation to check things out on her own. Many lifted barriers with precise timing and provocation was required for this situation to even become an opportunity. Unfortunately, it was both dogs and respective family units that have suffered. Brinley's family unit includes sharing a home with our 2 children, where she absolutely loves kids, and if anything, could be found guilty of wanting to become a small lap dog, pushing to get up on anyone's lap, yet easily settling for a belly rub as an alternate option. Let me tell you a little bit about Brinley and her history. Brinley is a 6-year-old English Bull Mastiff Cross female who was originally had basic dog training as a puppy, being purchased by myself into our forever home at 8 weeks old. She is up to date on all vaccinations, and she can follow commands like sit, lay down, shake a paw, shake her other paw, and stay with little distractions. She will patiently lay down while having her nails trimmed. Brinley also has a guilty conscience. Whenever having an accident, we immediately know which dog based on their behavior. At one point, she was also trained to maintain attention while going for bike rides around the small town where I used to live, consistently encountering other dogs with no issues. Brinley has been exposed to and socialized with other dogs, played well with other dogs previously, and has been to 3 different kennels on separate occasions in her life, again without any issues. Brinley has had a few changes to her life dynamic since having moved twice. And with any pet, it takes time to become accustomed to new surroundings and settle in. We quickly adapted, making a few adjustments to suit everyone's need, including our dogs and other pets. Brinley, myself, and my son, who is now 13, had moved to my fiance John's house on Tower Road and have happily lived there for the last 4 years. Shortly after moving to Tower Road, Brinley ended up becoming pregnant in 2018 by John's dog named Chopper, having 12 beautiful puppies together. 8 months later, I then became pregnant, where our family became blessed with our daughter Rose, who is now 20 months old. It has been a bit of a whirlwind of life events in the last couple of years. However, our dogs have always been a part of it. As mentioned previously, we take 100% ownership of Brinley's behavior. However, our attention has been focused in other areas of life in the last 2 years up until this point. Now, up until this point, my son Wyatt and our neighbor's daughter Abby would play together in each other's yards on frequent basis. Most of the time, Cameron, Abby's little sister, was never far behind. Abby would even come into our house to play with my son Wyatt, and our dogs have always been present indoors and or outdoors while they played. At no time did anyone question the integrity or intentions of Brinley's behavior. Throughout the first 10 weeks of having Brinley and Chopper's 12 puppies around in the summer of 2018, our neighbors would allow their children to come over and play in our outdoor puppy pen without their supervision and without any dog issue. Brinley was an excellent mother, taking great care of her babies, cleaning them regularly, and ensuring that they stayed nearby. She was very kind and gentle to let many human visitors stop in to see her new babies, again without any issue. Our two children both love our two dogs, Brinley and Chopper, and we have never been concerned for our children's safety being around our two dogs. On special occasions, Brinley would even sleep with my son Wyatt in his bed after his invitation up. We proactively plan for safe interactions with our daughter Rose, being only 20 months old, and both dogs are large, so we do supervise their interactions as most dog owners should. Rose currently loves to give our dogs both treats on a daily basis after following a command. Our property is surrounded by neighbors with dogs. Brinley has had no issue or anxiety seeing our neighbor's dog across the street named Shelby, nor has there been any concern with our neighbors to the right of our house and behind our house. John, who also operates a seasonal home-based business from April until October, has people coming or going on a daily basis without any issues from our dogs. Since COVID-19, I believe that Brinley's anxiety has potentially become an issue as more and more people started walking down our street for daily exercise with their own dogs and supervised children. As with most dogs on our street, when seeing people pass by their own property, they bark, and both of our dogs are no different. When seeing dogs pass or walking down the street, Brinley now is more excitable, barking and jumping around, whining with excitement as if she would love to see them. I would also like to note that Brinley was not the only dog curious to meet this new puppy, and in the week after our incident, 2 other neighboring dogs attempted to run over and check out this new puppy as well. There have been several occasions where Christy and Matt would have their friends' dogs visiting during the summer months over the past couple of years, and I would say approximately 4 to 6 times these dogs on separate occasions have wandered into our yard, one being an intact male dog coming all the way to our shop where Brinley usually is outside. At that time, I leashed the dog and took him back to Christy's yard and advised them that thankfully Brinley was not outside and we would prefer not to have any more puppies. Being friendly neighbors, we did not think any more of the issue and moved on. Now I believe that perhaps this type of thing happening has played a significant role in our dog Brinley's anxiety level, as she has never reacted or bitten an animal previously until this incident on July 19th, 2021. Christy chooses not to speak to either of us in person, rather sending text with their demands for containing our dogs, expecting us to install an entire perimeter fence, muzzling Brinley on and off our property, or rehoming our dog where children, adults, and pets are not at risk. Also accusing our dog Brinley of being uncontrollable. I absolutely disagree with these expectations and accusations. I would like to suggest that neither party, being Matt and Christy or John and myself, are no more or less negligent to the contributions of this dog incident. There is ownership to be had by both parties involved, and Brinley should not be punished for the mistakes made by either party. The type of unsupervised behavior displayed by the children of Matt and Christy running and screaming up and down our street or lawn is not acceptable. We can understand and appreciate the sheer excitement of a child when adding a new pet to the family unit. However, interactions should be supervised and not displayed on a roadway where direct traffic has the privilege. Ourselves having grown up on farms, yet understanding that kids will be kids, screaming should only be encouraged and reserved for someone who is seriously maimed or injured and not used at any other time, especially first thing in the morning. Likewise, John and I are no more at fault for not taking more immediate action when realizing that Brinley's anxiety level was becoming heightened the week previous to this incident. When noticing that the neighbors had their puppy outside, we would proactively put Brinley in our house, thinking we are all just needing some time to process that there is a new pet living beside us and adjust as it became more familiar to her. Evidently, more or less needed to be done by both parties. What I can tell you is that I know Brinley, and if anything, she did not maliciously intend to blindly run over and bite this puppy. Since this incident, Brinley has been taken to a certified dog behavior consultant and trainer by the name of Michelle Black. She described Brinley as a dog who now becomes hyperfixated on other dogs. With any dog who becomes hyperfixated on something, the excitement and anxiety level can peak in the moment and spill over into aggressive behavior if left unchecked. She had also noted that Brinley was displaying an odd gait at the walk and suggested that pain assessment be conducted by our veterinarian, which may also be a factor in this incident. Our appointment for this veterinarian visit is scheduled for September 14th. I have included copies of the information provided by our trainer, Michelle, along with the letter from Michelle describing our training plan going forward. If anything is required to come out of this report and appeal process, I would hope that all of these factors be taken into consideration when making the final decision for a dangerous dog designation. I would also ask that the decision not be based solely on the breed, size, or sound of our dog's bark. If the dog has anxiety, she should be treated no differently than anyone suffering from a mental health issue such as anxiety or depression. It would not be right to openly label a human with such designations, and the best treatment would be to get professional help, not cage them up further. I do not see how this should be treated any differently. For all of these reasons mentioned in this letter, I strongly urge you to reconsider this dangerous dog designation for our dog named Brinley. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you, Carrie. I'm now going to call on our canine control officer, or municipal representative, to provide their testimony or introduce evidence or make any submissions. I believe Mr. Stadema.
Evening, Madam Chair and Council. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
This is Matt Stadema. I'm Chief Building Official and Bylaw Enforcement Officer. In this case, the Canine Control Officer. I would like to let the evidence stand that has been presented before you. The designation of the dangerous dog pursuant to Central Elgin Bylaw number 465. The procedure was followed impartially and procedurally based on the evidence provided by the complainant. A site visit was conducted, speaking with the appellant on the day before the designation was completed on August 6th. In absence of any mitigating factors, a dog was bitten and was caused injury as per 212B, meaning a dog that in the absence of any mitigating factor has significantly injured a domestic animal. Under the Oxford Dictionary definition for significant, it is noteworthy or attentive. This was the criteria I used to validate that it complied with 212B under bylaw 465. And I have nothing further to add to council or to the Madam Chair at this hearing.
Thank you, Mr. Stadema. Is there any interested party or representative who can provide other evidence or submissions?
Nothing.
You seeing nothing?
Oh, wait, sorry.
Pardon me? Okay, Christine Dustin, would you go ahead, please?
Hi, can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. I first wanted to ask, was everyone in attendance provided with the initial email report that I had sent to Central Elgin, like the bylaw office?
Yes, we have the full submission, yes, and the one as well from, with the pictures from the previous speaker as well.
Okay. So to be honest, I'm not really sure where to start. Like Carrie has mentioned, we have been longtime neighbors with no issues, and obviously we did not ask for this or want this to happen. Our children have been waiting to have a dog for a few years now, and it has made this experience quite negative for all of us. I think the main factor that's being missed here is that regardless of our 9-week-old puppy being bit and required to have stitches in her head and her neck after this happened, it was my 6-year-old who was outside with Matt walking this puppy on a leash. So forget us for a second that animals are present. This could have went very differently if my child wouldn't have dropped the leash and froze. So that being said, that is where, as a parent, my main responsibility is the safety of my children. I feel like we already failed this puppy by not somehow preventing this. Although I don't think it's our responsibility, to be honest, to have another dog make sure they don't cross property lines onto our yard. I feel like this has nothing to do with whether a dog has anxiety or not. Many dogs can have anxiety. The fact of the matter is this one came onto our yard and bit a 9-week-old puppy that very well could have been my 6-year-old daughter. And that makes me extremely uncomfortable as a parent, even moving forward. So I'm not really sure, like, I have to correct Carrie in the sense that this was not provoked. This was at 7:45 in the morning. Cameron was outside with Matt by herself. No screaming was going on, and kids will be kids. I'm not aware that I have to put a noise level on my children in our neighborhood. I don't foresee that being a realistic expectation for anyone who has kids. Like I said, I don't think that that this is a fair representation on behalf of them of what took place. I also did put in the report that this is the second time that this dog has crossed property lines onto our yard. This happened with a puppy that we were looking after a few years ago. A report was never submitted because no one was injured, but the same dog had my kid cornered in our garden with a puppy on her lap. So the second time that this has happened, I obviously felt that, you know, something needed to be done. I don't know. I'm not really sure what everyone else has to say about this, but as a parent, I'm not comfortable with a dog that size not being able to be controlled on a leash and jetting across to our yard. If I was standing there, I would be apprehensive to have an animal that size come up to me, let alone my kids.
Thank you, Christine. We do have your full report here, so that you had submitted, so that's helpful. Okay, council members, do any of you have any questions for any of the parties for clarification? Councillor Wynn.
Not, thank you. Not so much, I guess the parties, but for Mr. Statema.
Yes.
I understand the request for the designation. I'm just wondering, is there ever a case that you give the owner and the, I guess, offending dog the opportunity to rehabilitate and then an assessment be done, or that's just once the complaint comes in, the designation is is then given, and regardless of what measures are taken with the dog afterwards, like this is, the dog will be considered dangerous for the rest of its life?
Mr. Stedema?
Under the bylaw 465, I don't have much procedurally that I can go on other than when a complaint comes in, to investigate it, to speak to the owner of the dog, the offending dog, and then based on the bylaw, determine whether or not it met the potentially dangerous dog designation or a dangerous dog designation based on the criteria that is listed there in 2.11. Haven't had an extensive experience with dogs, but I usually do try to stick to the criteria listed in the bylaw. And as there's no other options provided for such things, I stuck to the procedure of the bylaw for the designation, and after finding that it did meet the criteria under 212B.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions from any members of council? Yes, Councillor.
Just to follow up on Councillor Wynn's, so there is no provision whatsoever for this dog to ever be proven that it's rehabilitated?
Mr. Stedema, I assume he's asking you.
Yes.
One moment here, I'm just gonna look up the after having a quick review here of bylaw 465, I do not see a time restriction or time period put on to the potentially dangerous or dangerous dog designation. So my interpretation would be that that designation remains with that dog until it is no longer within the municipality.
Councillor Wynn, you wish to?
Yeah. Again, I've been through this exactly with my own dog, having bit my own child. So I understand completely both sides of it. I guess because I didn't lodge a complaint against myself, that's why my dog escaped the dangerous dog designation. But I did take immediate steps to have behavior remediated and my dog assessed again afterwards to ensure the safety first and foremost of my children and everybody in the neighborhood, neighboring dogs. And we were fine. So I guess maybe my problem is that we're going directly to this designation without any chance for this dog to redeem itself. So, and I guess I understand that there could be some impact with that as well if something were to happen while this was going on. But this is a tough one. This is tough because I really do see both sides of it. And I really do know that if effort is put in a lot of cases, dogs can redeem themselves, but it's just how would you monitor that in order to ensure the safety of everybody? And that will always be my biggest concern, I guess, in these types of instances. Guess I answered my own question. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Kravitz, you wish to?
According to the bylaw, the designation of a potentially dangerous dog, if there's a mitigating factor, any mitigating factor of the attack, and in 2.1.3, section 3 of the bylaw, it says the dog was at the time of the aggressive behavior being teased, provoked, or tormented. I wasn't there when the incident happened, And it's something that it's the one person's word against another person's word. Maybe this started out as a neighborhood dispute. I don't know the history here. And to give a dog a permanent designation of being dangerous. I also have had dogs growing up all my life, and dogs are dogs and kids are kids. It's a tough thing to do. And the only way that this dog could lose its designation, there is no way that the dog will ever lose its designation according to our bylaw. But a mitigating factor, and I don't know if there's ever a way of proving there was a mitigating factor at the time of the attack. So that's the issue that I have. And like, if it's a neighborhood issue, that's something different. But according to the dog left its property and bit another dog. And according to the dog, that makes it a dangerous dog in the bylaw. So it's a hard thing to overturn unless there's a mitigating factor, and we can't prove that. Something I can't prove. I don't know the answer to that.
Any other questions? Councillor Fair.
One last question in regards to this dog. Is there, if the appellants who own the dog down the road had some way with the trainer of proving, with input and so on, and documentation from the trainer that the dog was no longer dangerous, is there any provision that they could bring it back and appeal the decision in the future that might give an outlet to it? I don't know.
Mr. Stademan?
At this time, the way that bylaw 465 is worded, there is no opportunity for that. There's nothing speaking to that in the bylaw that could be brought up again at any time in the future based on any new information or based on further training or rehabilitation regarding the dog.
Mr. Shipway, you wish to speak to this?
Through Madam Mayor, to the committee, at this point in time, the municipality is bound by the regulatory bylaw in front of us, and that requirement is for council to consider the hearing in accordance with the procedures you just approved. And the bylaw section 2.7 gives the ability for council to confirm the designation or reverse the designation. If you were looking at amendments to the dangerous dog designation bylaw in the future, staff could bring those back, but this hearing is governed by the procedures that are here right now. And if you were going to implement a provision where over time a dangerous dog designation could be removed by satisfying certain criteria, I think staff would want to make sure the solicitor presented information on what the potential implications of that are, especially if there is a relapse. But right now, council is bound by the bylaw that it has passed and the procedures that it has adopted for this hearing.
Councillor Wynn and then Deputy Mayor Marks.
So just so I'm understanding, Ken, so if tonight's hearing, a designation was put on this dog in question, and then we decided as a council we wanted to open up this bylaw and have a look at it and maybe make some amendments as to what was just stated by Councillor Fair, would this dog and any previous dangerous dogs be allowed to appeal under that? Or because it was before the change to a bylaw, just thinking that if that ever happened, they would then be able to submit and appeal to have it reversed?
Mr.
That
Shipway.
was a very long, sorry, that went on further than it should have.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just for clarity, the canine control officer has already designated the dog. The dog is designated. It's a potential to be appealed this evening. In theory, council, again, council at its leisure, but hopefully after considering legal advice, could ultimately make amendments to the dangerous dog bylaw and determine if they're going to make that applicable to all previously designated dogs or just at the point in time. But I would say that would be outside the scope of this hearing right now.
Deputy Mayor Marks.
Did I hear earlier Matt mention that this designation will follow that dog until it leaves the municipality?
Yes.
If that dog moved to Aylmer and then come back and change its name, indecent dog in the future, is it still followed or go back on, or not trying to be funny, but I'm just trying to, is that clear?
To you, Madam Chair, the bylaw speaks to if it's transferred or name is changed, all that information has to be provided to the municipality,
Where it goes to?
to Central Elgin and then to the other municipality, yes.
That's, makes sense. Thank you.
Any other questions that council have? So we have, because all the evidence has been heard in the testimony, we do allow the parties involved to provide closing submissions limited to 5 minutes in length if they wish. Does anyone wish to make any more comments? Mr. Perrin, any hands up? Kristen, all right, Christine, go ahead.
Thank you. I feel like I understand what all of the council members are referring to when it comes to designating this dog for essentially, if the neighbors live beside us for life, then forever how long this dog is beside us, she will be designated dangerous. I am an animal lover. I have grown up with horses and cats and dogs, and that's why we want to add one to our family. However, at some point, the safety of my family and my children trump the designation of my dog as far as my views go. I mean, a dog is a dog. And yes, they can be unpredictable at times, but as far as I'm concerned, as owners, we're responsible for ensuring that they don't injure or harm someone else. And that did not happen in this case. And our dog was injured. And I even have traumatized kids who don't want to walk our dog outside by themselves now for fear of something else happening. So yes, by all means, do I want to see a dog in a kennel? Absolutely not. Am I more concerned about my child's safety and my own animal safety? For sure.
Thank you very much. Carrie, would you like to speak then? You have 5 minutes. You need to unmute.
Hi there. So I would just like to reiterate that many barriers needed to be lifted for this situation to have happened. First of all, we needed to be outside with the dog. The dog needed not to be leashed, which she always is. We have children of our own. Never have we been concerned for their safety or any of the children that, like my son's friends when they come over, anything like that. There's never been an issue with the dog being aggressive. She's never displayed any aggressive behavior towards people. So I understand Christie's concern. However, the safety of people is not an issue with this dog. She's a good dog. And also one other thing to just note on, I'm not pointing fingers in any manner. I would just like to say that there has not been any change in them being outside with their dogs or their family members or their barbecue events that I have noticed. And I'm always outside with my daughter and my son and our pets. So I appreciate you taking the time to listen.
Thank you. Right, in my opinion, every person has been given a fair opportunity to be heard. If there are no further questions, is council ready to make a decision on the designation? That means we either go confirm the dangerous dog designation or we reverse such designation. Are you ready or not? Councillor Kravitz?
I'd just like to say, I'm ready to make a decision. It's unfortunate that this bylaw is so specific in the wording that we unfortunately don't have a choice under with our bylaw enforcement officer, Matt Stadema, when he approached the people and designated as and assigned it as a dangerous dog. It's something we can't go against the bylaw unless there's a mitigating factor, and that's something that can't be proven. It was never brought up, a mitigating factor, be it the children screaming next door. It's a neighborhood dispute and things will get worse, unfortunately, but yes, I'm ready to make a decision.
Thank you. And I think if you wish, we'll make the decision tonight, but then if you wish to have staff do a review of the bylaw itself and how it could be changed for future, so that this could be brought back again if the owners felt inclined to do so and had the dog trained. But I think Councillor Kravitz is correct that I don't think we have much choice. Councillor or Deputy Mayor Marks, sorry.
What I heard was, right, this dog will be designated for life. If we go back and change the policy, it's not going to help this dog. Is that right?
No, Mr. Shipway said we could say
So it could.
Passed up.
Jail.
it could, yes, it could.
Okay.
If we change the bylaw.
Glad that was clarified.
That is correct. Correct, Mr. Shipway? Yes. Okay, we need a mover and a seconder for a motion, please. Either to confirm or to reverse. Deputy Mayor Marks?
Well, then I take no pleasure, but with what we've heard, I have to err on the side of the children. I have a 3-year-old granddaughter, and I will state that both parties seem very reasonable and fair. But if I have to choose a child over a dog, I have to go with the dog or with the child. So I'll
Moving to confirm the designation.
no pleasure in doing that.
Councillor Fair, you're seconding that motion. And you will need a recorded vote this time because Councillor Cook is online now.
Motion reads, Madam Chair, moved by Deputy Mayor Marks, seconded by Councillor Fair, that the Council of the Corporation of the Municipality of Central Elgin confirm the designation of Brindley, a bull mastiff, as a dangerous dog pursuant to bylaw 465, and that the owner of such designated dog shall forthwith comply with all control requirements provided for in the original notice issued by the municipal law enforcement officer. Councillor Rowe is absent. Councillor Kravitz.
Yes.
Councillor Cook.
No.
Councillor Fair.
Yes.
Councillor Wynn.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Marks.
Yes.
Mayor Martin.
Yes,
The resolution carries.
thank you. Before we adjourn, do council want staff to look into this? How would we, yes, we can do that under new
Yes.
business at the council meeting? All right, so we won't do that during this hearing. We will do that under new business at the council meeting. So this meeting is now adjourned. Now go into council.